feel like I needed some glow sticks for that. How about you?
Dude, I really was enjoying that music. I was like, what is that? I was vibing.
Yeah, I was chilling too. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pull up our chat and everything. If anybody joins us, Alma, why don't you go ahead and introduce what we are doing tonight?
Oh, what we're doing tonight is
Tonight.
we're gonna be discussing Frankenstein. And I won't do the accent that I was doing all through the movie. I always think that I could be like German. I think I could. And I
No,
was
please don't. Please don't.
No, I'm not going to do the accent. I'm not going to do the accent. But I was
me.
always interested in the language because, you know, in school they only gave us like 2 languages, Spanish and German, were our only choices to take foreign language.
No, we had Spanish, German, and
you
French.
may have, but we did we? Oh yeah, I guess French too.
I think you took
well,
but
yeah.
anyway.
So but anyway, so I always thought they were interesting because I thought I could speak those languages, and when I heard myself reading it, I always thought I sounded good, but I don't.
Hi, Bianca.
Hi.
She got a little jack-o'-lantern, a little jack-o'-lantern. Okay,
I don't know where you see it, but I guess you're the host, so you get to see it.
Oh, you don't get to see the chat. I'm sorry. I'll figure it out.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll put it in the chat. No, okay, yeah, I see it now.
So, yes, we are discussing Frankenstein, 1931. And okay, so I have my notes. I have like facts and trivia and all this stuff. I'm sure you have a whole bunch of stuff too because you're really good at that. But first, let's start with what have we been doing this month? That way we can catch people up because it's been a while since we did a face-to-face with people.
Oh, okay. We are currently in 31 Days of Halloween. We're almost done with 31 Days of Halloween. Ooh. I just posted my 5 movies for the day, which I almost forgot to post. I had made a unique list of 5 movies every day for all 31 days of October. And today I did 5 best movie titles, but not really best. They're just like movies that I watched just because of the title. And that's been really
I haven't looked at it yet because you just posted it. So I can't wait to look at that.
Oh, I need to go post that right before we start. And so we had that. We made 2 trips because we went up to Salem for the Salem Horror Fest. We went to Bangor. We did a Stephen King book tour all around there.
It was so fun.
And last week we had our first event in person. We did a horror movie trivia night, which was badass. It was so fun. I didn't know what to expect. It was perfect. It was a perfect environment, still small, outdoor. We did the horror movie trivia, and then we did a giveaway with prizes. Which
good prizes. We gave away some good shit.
Out. Yeah, we went all out. Thank you so much about the movie lists. I worked really hard on that. Let me see.
Yeah, so the horror movie trivia night, we screened a movie. We had a DJ with fun, spooky music. I mean, it was just really great. So hopefully we'll be able to do something like that again. But we are planning on in the next couple of months doing a horror movie trivia online. So that people outside of Boston can join in. Okay, all right. So what's coming up? I'll go ahead and do that part. We are going to have a special Dia de los Muertos episode.
Yay! Everybody get hyped, everybody clap in, everybody in.
Yeah, so that is going to be interesting because I'm really excited about it. We're doing the movie Coco, and we're going to try to be good girls and
we're going to try to be PG. It's not that hard, man.
It's very hard for me. Even a kids movie, I'm going to find a way to fuck that up. But I really want to do a PG virgin, a PG virgin, just so that if you want your kid to listen in, while we're talking about Coco, it's not going to be a big deal. So.
Well, it's been really good. We've had some practice because we've had our movie episodes. And in addition, we've been doing story reading as part of daily podcasts. So that's given us some practice in keeping it like PG for like a larger audience. So you can just listen to those episodes and hopefully Coco, people can just play it for the whole family in the car because that movie is beautiful. And you know how you know it's good? Because Dahlia doesn't do animated movies anymore. Like she doesn't have, she's not gonna, she watched it and she loved it. So you know that it's good. And so Bianca knows too. It's a beautiful movie. Everyone should watch it.
Okay. So, all right. But right now, let's go ahead and start talking about Frankenstein. Okay. It's been a while since I watched this movie. It's been a very long while. And when
Mhm.
I watched it, I realized why, because it makes me very sad. And
It
this
is.
movie
It's kind of a
depresses
sad
the
movie.
shit out of me. So, okay. And the book I have not read in a very long time either, but I know that they made changes from the book to, from the book to the movie. So, but anyways, okay, actors, Alba, can you tell us who was in it and who directed this movie?
Okay, this one is directed by James Whale. This is the 1931 movie, if you all want to find it. Um, so it's from 1931. The screenplay was written by Garrett Fort, Francis Edward Farrago, and there's two people that are uncredited. So those could be like, I always think that those are probably consultants who do help with the movie. Robert Flory and John Russell. Obviously, it is based on the Mary Shelley novel Frankenstein, and the story was adapted by Richard Shayer. So there's like a lot of behind the scenes work to get this movie made. But like Dalia said, I watched this a long time ago and I loved rewatching it because as an adult, yeah, it's just a great story.
Yeah.
It is one of my he is one of my favorite
Yeah.
monsters too. Like I have this one and the creature from the Black Lagoon, they're my favorites. And but this one is just it's a great story.
It's a great story, but like I said, for me, it's very depressing. And Bianca says that this is one of her favorite, including The Invisible Man. And this director actually directed The Invisible Man. So there's a little bit of trivia right there. Okay. All right. So, all right. I'm going to go ahead and read the summary and then we'll get into it. I found two that they're really short, but I found things interesting. Okay, Henry Frankenstein is a doctor who is trying to discover a way to make the dead walk. He succeeds and creates a monster that has to deal with living again. And this other one says, in James Whale's timeless adaptation of Mary Shelley's masterpiece novel, Boris Karloff stars as the screen's most tragic and memorable horror giant when Dr. Frankenstein dares to tamper with life and death by piecing together salvaged body parts to create a human monster. That one's like very literal. It tells us everything that happens in that one. But yep, that's the general synopsis of this movie. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started. Alma, do you have the
Yep,
Wikipedia
I've
thing? Okay.
I've got it. So we do usually when we do these more brief episodes, we're using the plot that we think is the best summary, and this one is taken from Wikipedia. To begin the movie, the one of the lead actors breaks the fourth wall and speaks directly to us, the viewer, giving background on the movie. And it begins with, in a village of the Bavarian Alps, Henry Frankenstein and his assistant Fritz, and it says a hunchback, and it's quotations, piece together a human body. Some of the parts are from freshly buried bodies and some from recently hanged criminals. In a laboratory he's built inside a watchtower, he desires to create a human, giving the body life through electrical devices, but still needs a
No
brain.
brain.
So,
Oh, so it's a little bit of everything there. Okay, so we all know that grave robbing for medical and science and all that happened. It's sickening. It's sad. But at the same time, it's like I kind of get it, but at the same time, it's like it's rude to go digging
mhm.
people up. One of my
Yeah, they
stories that I
oh,
read,
yeah.
sorry, for 31 days is of grave robbers, but they didn't do it for medical or science. They love the thrill of it. They love stealing the body parts and shit from so anyways, I don't remember which day that is, but yeah, catch up on all our 31 days. But okay, so this that's how we open up the grave robbers. And yeah, getting the hanged person too. That kind of you're muted.
I was a little bit confused, but I liked that they're like standing, like skulking around in the shadows, waiting for this funeral to be over. So they're like chilling, and they're waiting for the funeral to be, and then they dig it back up, and I was like, all that hard work of burying it, and they're ruining it because they're unburied it. I was like, I think I would have made a distraction and got them to get away from there, and then stole the body, and then they wouldn't have known it was in there. But so
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
yeah,
Okay,
like taking the
before they
body
bury.
before doing
Okay,
all the
gotcha.
work. Come on,
Well,
think
this is a little
smarter.
bit of trivia. A microphone was placed in the coffin used in the funeral scene to amplify the sound of the grave dirt hitting the lid. Genius.
Yeah,
Hello. Well, take
great
note,
sound effects.
indie filmmakers. You can do it like this.
Yeah, I did notice the excellent To me, the older movies, the best thing that they did, these black and whites, these classic films, was the sound effects. It's like, what could you do to make, something look better? That was exactly what I loved about some old classic movies, especially with this one.
Yeah. Okay, Alma, what happens now?
Okay, so he needs a brain. So Henry Frankenstein, he sends Fritz, okay, that's his coworker in crime. He sends
Coworker in
him
crime. I
over
love that.
to the local medical school, and that's Dr. Waldman's classroom, and waits. And once everybody's gone, he takes a brain. And it's really cute because one brain is labeled normal brain, and the other the brain was abnormal brain. But something spooks Fritz and he drops the normal brain, and he ends up getting stuck with the abnormal one, which he takes back to Henry.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was funny because obviously we come to find out later that it is a criminal's brain, and um, that's why he was a bad monster. But we'll get into that later because I don't like the story of the Frankenstein's monster is tragic. I think I empathize way too much with monsters of movies, especially those that were once human. You know this, like with
Yeah.
Hatchet, I was like way on Hatchet's side, and like we're
Where
gonna
Team
get
like
the
the
monster out.
troubled monster, like what is
Yeah,
making them act this way? There's
yeah,
always like this underlying thing. The big thing, the like who's the monster here is the question,
yeah,
right? Because
exactly.
Henry is completely just in his world right now. He's consumed by his wanting to bring something to life. He is very specific in the movie in saying that
Hmm.
he's not bringing something back to life. He has created a life that he
Yeah.
wants to bring to life.
And that's
So,
the big thing right there. Like you said, he's
mhm,
creating it. So he's not thinking of whatever he's bringing back or creating or how they're gonna feel and all that, because he does want them to be sentient. He does want them to feel and think and do shit. So and so yeah, I personally I do think, you know how people say Frankenstein's the monster because they get
mhm,
confused and they think the monster is Frankenstein. No, but I think for real, Dr. Frankenstein is the monster in this. I'm just saying.
yes. And he's already gone too far. Okay, so right now he has a fiance. Now, at first, I don't really say that she's a fiance, but they do call her that, Elizabeth. I love Elizabeth. I'll get on that a little bit. Okay, so his fiance Elizabeth speaks with their friend Victor. They have a nice friend about the scientist's peculiar actions and his seclusion. Because remember, he's not at home right now. He has a new office. He's working from his new home office up in the watchtower. And Elizabeth and Victor ask Dr. Waldman for help understanding Henry's behavior. Waldman reveals he is aware Henry wishes to create life. Concerned for Henry, they go up to the watchtower at the lab just as he's making final preparations for his creation. So I love
Yeah.
this because they're concerned about him. This
Hmm.
woman loves him enough that she's
Yeah.
like, I want to go. And the
Hmm.
three of them, they go up to go. So his friend is good enough too. Like
Yeah.
they love him, they're concerned for him,
Hmm.
and they head up to the watchtower. And not only that, he lets them in to
Yeah,
his
that's what I was
lab.
gonna say. He lets them in, he lets them see, and this is where we get the famous scene when the monster. I hate calling him the monster. I want to call him Bob or something. So when Bob
Bob,
comes to
okay,
life,
Bob.
when Bob comes to life, you know, we get that famous what is it, like he lives, or I really forgot it.
He's alive.
He's alive. That's it. That's right. I even
It's
wrote it
alive.
down. I even
I
wrote it
did
down in my
too. It's
notes.
somewhere in my notes.
But yeah, he's alive. He's alive. So everybody sees it. Um,
It's
I
alive.
really like that it's very subtle when he comes to life.
Mhm.
You know, the little hand coming up, and then they do a close shot of like the hand having been stitched on, so you see the
Oh,
scarring. I
that's
love
actually
all that.
done really, really well. Okay, they see parts of him
Hmm.
a little peeking out from behind the sheet.
Hmm.
Now, this is the part that's interesting because he's got his three pals sitting there gonna watch his experiment come to life. Okay, they're cool with that. they're sitting there like the old days when they were up in the amphitheater watching surgeries live. So that was actually something that they would have audiences for. So it wasn't peculiar to them. Whereas us watching are like, why are these people here in this room with him? But getting this set up, the set, the sounds, the special effects that they're using, superb. Like, I loved it. I loved how loud it got with the thunderstorm. I loved how loud and intense everything is in this little space where he's cranking his wheel. He's got Fritz running around doing stuff with levers, and we have no idea what any of that stuff is, but it's going to bring his thing. I don't even know if he planned to do this experiment just then because there's a thunderstorm and the lightning, or that just was by chance.
Yeah, we don't I don't think he says it out loud. But I
Mhm.
got the sense that yes, he knew the thunderstorm was coming and he was preparing. Maybe every night when he heard rain, he was starting to prepare. I don't know, but I got the feeling he knew. But yeah, I don't think he ever said out loud, "Oh, I'm waiting for the lightning," and blah blah blah. I want to mention this little factoid right here. The monster's makeup, so Bob's makeup design by Jack P. Pierce, is under copyright to Universal through the year 2026 and licensed by Universal Studios Licensing. The
Okay,
makeup.
that's cool because it's very distinctive, the shape of the scalp. They show this body under the sheets. And one of the things I didn't get was like, why did he do that to his feet, like the big block feet? The head, I got, but he had like these giant feet. He has the whole body wrapped in bandages, and the distinctive, it looks like obviously like he just cut the top of the head off, put a brain in there, and then stitched it up flat. And that's how you get that shape of scalp.
Exactly the way you described it. That's how I picture him putting it on. Or maybe it was on top of a head of someone else. And I was like, oh, all right, let's just put that on.
Yeah, because
Because
he's all like
it's different
pieces of
body
different
parts.
people.
So, you know what.
And so we get him just hi there.
Hi,
Uh,
Corey.
we get him, and just this is the part we're talking about in Frankenstein. Um, he has just brought his creation to life, and he's screaming, "It's alive!" And
I like it. I like that
I
scene a
love
lot
it.
because, like I said, it's so subtle. It's so subtle, and his reaction and everything. And so, yeah, and all of his when you see him later on, like when he's killing people, it's very slow. He
Killing.
does. It's very. His movements are very slow and deliberate, and I like that. It's not like he's not at like kind of sometimes, but it's like there's one scene I can't remember who he's choking. He comes up, his hand comes up slowly and kind of gets
Oh
him from
yeah.
behind, like he's about to make out with him or something. It's very like it's very sensual. It's like, all right, here we go. But yeah, I like that. He has these hands too. It's very I don't know what the word is, but like yeah, like I said, it's just very deliberate. I like that a lot.
Mhm. So we have Frankenstein's monster now has come to life despite its grotesque form. And it's really not that grotesque. Who wrote this? Because I think he looks just fine and we shouldn't be shaming him about his body. It's just stitched together. It's not his fault. He seems to be very innocent and childlike. Henry welcomes it into his laboratory and asks it to sit. So he has the professor with him. His buddy, his doctor, Professor Powell, is hanging with him, and they're fully aware that he's brought this creation to life and it's just chilling in there. He said he's kept it in the dark. He hasn't brought it into the light yet, but he just lets it, Bob, roam around the castle, or what is it, the watchtower. He lets it roam around. How are you not creeped out by the fact that there is like,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a strange animal, I'd be freaked out, like you bring in from somewhere else, and this is a human being that you created. But okay, sorry. Okay, so let's go.
okay, so it's fright is mistaken. Okay, so what happens is, okay, Fritz enters the room with a flaming torch, and he's obviously afraid of the light. Okay, he hasn't been seeing any light. The torch is, it has to be real fire. We were discussing this when we watched the movie. Are they legit just holding real
Oh,
fire? It's got
yeah,
to
I'm
be.
sure they did back in the day, as long as
Yeah,
just like it was
yeah,
like
because there's
comics.
no way you can't CGI that. That was a dumb question, but it's hot, it's fire, and Bob
The-
here is like
Okay, so this is I'm jumping ahead only just to say this, that in my opinion, Fritz got what was coming to him
Oh yeah,
because
spoiler alert, Fritz
Fritz
gets it.
was Fritz was a shit. I mean, he was deliberately like, waving that fire after
He was okay, he does
he
end
was a
up getting
bully.
in.
He was a
He was
bully.
torturing him for some reason. That's how what he ends up doing. But Henry, okay, so he's antagonizing Frankenstein's monster during the movie. He has a whip, and he's like whipping him. And I'm sorry, but it looked like he was seriously whipping him with the whip.
Could have
Like,
been like he's wearing so much that
yeah, he was just like whipping him, torturing him with the fire. Henry goes and he's like, please stop it, leave him alone. I don't know why he's doing this. And he's talking to the professor. It's just getting him angry. So obviously, he hasn't really learned much. He hasn't gone anywhere. He's basically a child in a body and does not have speech. He can see, but he doesn't understand anything that's going on around him, and nor has he been shown any
Yeah, his
affection of
whole
any kind.
story is tragic. See, this is why I
Mhm.
said this is the reason I haven't watched in a very long time, because it makes me very sad. Okay, so I see. I forget the order of things, so Alma, I'll just trust your reading from the timeline.
Okay, so at one point they start to hear screams coming from the dungeon. So the professor and Henry, they head down. Why is there a dungeon in the watchtower? Like, okay, this is his extra office, and he can afford a dungeon too. Look at him.
That's where they keep it. That's where they keep the canned goods. That's where I used to keep the canned goods when I had a
Oh,
basement. I
but
used to keep
but
everything
that's a
downstairs.
basement. He calls it, I think, a dungeon or something.
And
And so they go down there and they find Fritz is torturing him, whipping him, getting him worked up with the flame, and he attacks them, and they end up having to tie him up, which is so sad. See, why did you pick this
again,
horribly sad movie?
Team Bob over here. Go ahead. Sorry.
So they let they they keep him up and they drug him because the professor's a doctor. They actually inject him with something to sedate him, but it obviously wears off. Let's see here. Realizing the monster must be destroyed, Henry prepares an injection, and the two conspire to release the monster, sedate him, and then they want to put him out of his misery. Basically, they think they'll just put him to sleep, and then he won't be torturing anyone anymore. Um, when they go to check on Frankenstein, because Fritz is nowhere to be found, they find that Frankenstein's monster has killed Fritz. And yeah,
I'm not
and it
sad.
doesn't show Talia's face.
I'm not sad.
They don't show him kill him, but
No.
he's killed him.
Yeah.
And I think he was just ending his torture.
Yeah.
It was self-defense. Okay. If
It's
he came to my court of
exactly.
law, in my imaginary court of law with my
Not
imaginary
guilty by
degrees.
self-defense.
So, but they do manage to subdue Frankenstein monster,
Mhm.
and they plan on killing him. But instead, they don't do that. The
What do they do?
professor decides he's going to keep experimenting on him. So they show him journaling. Henry,
See,
meanwhile, yes, he's journaling. He's doing more experiments, right? Henry collapses from exhaustion, and his fiance and his father take him home to recover. Okay. Henry is worried about the monster, but Professor Waldman assures him that he is going to destroy it. But we see that he's journaling, that he's doing experiments on him, and it doesn't matter how much sedative he gives them or how much drug, the monster seems to be getting stronger and stronger. So while Henry's at home recovering and preparing for his wedding, Professor decides he's going to examine the monster and vivisect it. He's going to dissect him while he's alive. But Frankenstein's monster is not having any of that, and he chokes him to death. Or does he break his neck? One of those two with his big old monster
that's why I was
hand.
saying that he slowly brought his hand up to behind his
Yeah,
neck, and then like
he
the
did do it
choking,
slow.
and then they go away from it.
Yeah.
What's
So
the word I'm trying to say? You know what I'm trying to say.
they
The
cut the
scene goes to the
scene.
next. Yes, thank
You know,
you.
they had to keep the things like PG back then. They didn't have a choice. So the monster is free to roam, and he
Oh,
finds
wait
his
a minute.
way.
You said they need to keep things PG. Technically, this movie is non-rated. Is not rated.
It wasn't.
Not
Ooh,
rated.
okay. Because you know
But
they
you
really
yeah.
couldn't show a lot, but he does kill him, and then
Yes.
he gets to wandering outside of the castle, and it just coincidentally is on the day that Henry Frankenstein is going to marry Elizabeth. Now I said I was going to talk about her because I actually thought she was great.
Mm-hmm.
Now, back in the day, some of these movies they'd use a lot of play actors. They would be very dramatic,
Mm-hmm.
overly dramatic to a point. Henry Frankenstein, the actor, was. I don't think so much with Elizabeth. I honestly think that she could be in a movie today. I just thought she did a really great job with her role. It's not that whole like, oh, whatever. And she was the one who kept the level head throughout the movie, because she's the one who comes to Henry's rescue. She's the one talking to the dad. She's the one coordinating
Yeah, her
everything.
whole demeanor and everything was just
Yeah,
very, she was like keeping everyone
really,
chill, even when shit
really
was
too
going on.
chill. Maybe she
But
was too okay with all of it.
anyways, but
Okay,
yeah, I liked her too. You're right.
so the monsters run away, and he's traveling through the countryside, and just like a little sad puppy that's lost its way home, he is finding his way back to Henry Frankenstein's castle on their wedding day. And he comes upon a small child who shows him kindness, and she gives him flowers, and they're playing with the flowers, and she's showing him. It was so sweet, because just this innocent child walking up to this innocent monster. um it was just like their
It's
interaction. It
it's
was
very it's
sweet.
very sad. So we won't
And
go into detail because it is a
yes,
child, but they don't
well,
show
yes,
anything. They don't
they
show
don't show
anything.
anything, but it obviously it gets to the point where he does end up killing the child,
By
but
accident.
it's
But
an
at
accident
the end
because
of the day, still killed her
he
though. That's sad.
doesn't know his strengths. He doesn't understand. He thinks he's playing,
Mhm.
and then he just kind of wanders off. It's like something that just doesn't know or understand the
Mhm.
consequences of any action. At
Yeah.
one point, the professor brought up, because he used the abnormal criminal brain,
Yeah.
but
But
I
in this
don't think
case,
it's
it
that at
was,
all.
yeah, I don't, in this case,
At any point.
he was having fun with her. He was throwing the flowers in, and I think because
Mhm.
the flowers were beautiful, throwing into the water, she was beautiful, threw her into the water, didn't think of what was going to happen next. I have a little bit of factoid trivia here. During production, there was some concern that 7-year-old Marilyn Harris, who played Maria, the little girl thrown into the lake by the monster, would be overly frightened by the sight of Boris Karloff in costume and makeup when it came time to shoot the scene. When the cast was assembled to travel to the location, Harris ran from her car directly up to Karloff, who was in full makeup and costume, took his hand, and asked, "May I drive with you?" Delighted, and in typical Karloff fashion, he responded, "Would you, darling?" She then rode to the location with the monster.
That's super sweet. So, see, but okay. So at the end of the day, he's just done things as a consequence of other people's actions or not understanding the world around him. I would definitely not say it has anything to do with some criminally deprived, or whatever they call it, brain, because I don't think he was being hostile. I
Yeah.
don't think he was being aggressive unless it came to him.
Yeah.
Okay, so with preparations for the wedding completed, Henry is happy with Elizabeth, and they're to marry as soon as the professor arrives. So the professor's supposed to be arriving, and they're still waiting. Victor, his friend, rushes in to say that the professor has been found strangled, and obviously they suspect that the monster has done it, and they go to look because they said that there are reports that the monster is roaming the countryside and headed their way.
Okay,
So,
so I missed that. I think I missed that because then we see the father of the little girl carrying her lifeless body into the village, and saying she's murdered and that it was the monster. So I missed that where they said they spotted the monster roaming the village or the area,
mhm.
because I can remember thinking like, how does he know, first of all, that she was murdered, because she could have just drowned, and then also how did he know who did it? But
Uh-huh.
if all of, so now it
I
makes
think
sense.
that
Okay.
it's basically just a consequence of the information that the
Mhm.
father got, because they announced that they've seen the monster. There's a mob starting to form. The father comes in the middle of all of this commotion and chaos that's going on, and they kind of just conclude, because it says like he suspects, but it's obvious
Right.
that he doesn't look like the people of the village.
Yeah.
So whatever it is the thing that caused this harm. Also, because it's like, how would he have known any of that? I really think that they're the ones who tell the father, which
Yeah.
leads them to forming this mob, but they're now looking for the monster. And it's
Mm.
hilarious because it's like, where's the monster? First of all, Henry locks up Elizabeth in her bridal suite to keep her safe.
Yeah.
Okay. She's alone, and where do you see Frankenstein's monster lurking about? He's like literally right outside her window.
He liked her. Again, I don't think but yes, I get it.
But
He killed a little girl, and I get the mob wanting to take care of him. That's the sad part. That's the sad part because we see the other side where it was an accident, but at the end of the day, he still killed her. And then we hear that he's killing, like, he killed Fritz or this other guy. Well, even though those were in self-defense, no, everybody else doesn't know that. They just see this big dude monster thing that was brought to life from dead things going around killing people. So I get it. As angry as you people get, as I get with the mob mentality, I get it. I get what's going on here. I get it. I defy everything. I understand it all. Does it still make me sad though? Yes.
does. And so we find his monster. He's just wandering. Honestly, I think he's looking for Henry because that it makes sense. He's looking for him. That's why I made the whole analogy of the puppy trying to find its way home
Yeah.
to its master. But he makes his way there, and everything's blocked off because they're like, there's a wedding going to happen here. So he's just roaming around. Like, does he know doors? He just happens to be outside the woman's window. That's what I think. He just happens to be outside her window, accidentally breaks in. We don't even know what he does. She
Yeah.
probably fainted from being
Mhm.
scared of seeing him
Mhm.
and trying to get out of the room. And that right there, that panic moment when
Yeah.
she's stuck in the room, screaming, trying to get out. Why did they lock her in there? She couldn't even get out. They hear her screaming
Yeah.
and finding the key from her
Uh-huh.
100 old skeleton keys they have on their,
I thought the point of a skeleton
custodian
key they
keychain.
work in all the doors, but whatever.
Whatever. He had a bunch of keys, and he gets in the room, and I think she's passed out. And
Mhm.
what happens right then? Like, she's
I don't
passed
know.
out.
Read
I
the
don't
little
know. So they
thingy.
took care of her. Okay. So, okay, the peasants. Okay, during the search, Henry is attacked by the monster. Oh yeah, because there he's still inside. So
Yeah.
he somehow got through the rest of the building, and they find him, and Henry is attacked. Now I thought he was going to kill him here because I could not remember, but he
Yeah.
doesn't. The monster knocks Henry unconscious and carries him to a nearby old mill,
Mhm.
water mill, windmill, whatever it is. And the peasants hear his cries and find that the monster has climbed to the top of the windmill, dragging Henry with him. And it looks like he's really carrying him here. And the monster
It could have been.
hurls, this one's not real, the scientist over the side of the windmill. And I was like, is he going to die now? Now, if he was going to die, it should have been from hitting one of the blades of the giant wooden windmill
Yeah.
and then landing on the ground.
Mhm.
But he does it. And then they pick him up. And it reminds me of
Where
the
they
movie
carry.
Ruins. Why are you moving that cage?
Yeah.
Just fell from a
Yeah.
very high
But
distance.
they all pick him up and they
They
start
just
moving.
like rave style, like he just jumped into a
Right.
monster and like carrying him off with the glow sticks, and the music's pumping right now during the movie. It's pumping.
I did want to mention this right now. I didn't write it down. I forgot to, but the windmill. I don't know how to speak English apparently. The windmill was what's the word I'm looking for? I guess one of the set directors or whatever saw there's a famous bakery in LA or something like that. I forgot the name of the bakery that had the windmill, and that's where he took his inspiration from. So he saw a bakery, saw the windmill, and liked it, and that's where the windmill came from for the movie,
Okay, because
from a bakery.
it's not so random. I just figured he came upon it. It was like the
Yeah.
nearest thing. He's hiding. He took his daddy, and he was
Shut
hiding in the
up.
windmill.
Shut up. Don't say it like that.
Okay, because he's like screaming, and it's so sad.
Okay. Yeah.
He's screaming, and the mob of the angry people,
Mhm.
they set a fire and they burn the
Yeah.
windmill down as Frankenstein's baby is inside the windmill.
Why'd you say it
And
like that? That's fucking
because
depressing as
that's how you
shit.
say it all the time.
When it's real
They
kids
set it
though.
ablaze in the flames, and the monster's trapped inside.
Mm,
Okay, so cut away. I don't show anything else left with him. At Castle Frankenstein, Henry's father celebrates the wedding of his recovered son with a toast to his future grandchild. They show Henry in bed, and Elizabeth is bringing him something, and then the staff of the women, what are they? The maids all come, and they're trying to bring champagne to celebrate the wedding. And he closes the door on them like they're gonna go do their thing, and he
mhm.
celebrates by drinking and making a toast.
Yeah. And exactly like Bianca says, the monster didn't ask to be there, and that's why it's so tragic. Like I was joking earlier, like who's the real monster here? It was Frankenstein all along, because yeah, it's depressing. But at the same time, like I said, I totally get the mob, taking care of business because poor little child's dead, and all they're hearing is that all these dudes are dying, or that he's killing all the dudes. But it was fucking Frankenstein's fault. It was all him. It was all that motherfucker. And he
And
should have been like,
he
pummeled
escapes
more.
all consequences from
Yeah,
his action. Because
exactly.
Fritz, oh well, he's dead. The
Mm,
professor, okay, and the little
yeah.
girl. What? Where was the justice for that? Because
Yeah.
he brought this thing
Oh, yeah.
into creation, into being. The townspeople have no idea that he has created this monster. That he's the one who brought it,
Hmm.
but he knows. The father knows. Elizabeth knows, and so they just get to live happily ever after, knowing what they've
Bastard.
done. Yeah, so he's the one, man. Let's go find him.
Okay, so let me just share a little bit more trivia that I had written down here. I didn't realize this. I knew she was young, but Mary Shelley was 19 when she wrote this novel. Fucking 19. What was I doing in 19? Well, I was in the military then, but
Yeah,
I
me
wasn't.
too.
I
So
wasn't
that
writing
kind of
no novel.
sounds like we're doing stuff. It kind of makes it
But
look
it
like we're being professional.
I guess you could say we were being professional.
Well, I guess we were in a uniform.
But writing in this novel at 19, and then look, here we are in what year is this? 20. Oh my God, it's almost 2022. It's almost
So,
fucking 2022. I don't like thinking of that. Okay, let's go.
oh
Let's move on.
wow.
In the opening credits, and I noticed this, I'm sure you noticed this. In the opening credits, the
Definitely.
monster is credited as a question mark, and only in the closing credits do we see the actor's name, Boris Karloff.
I thought he
Let's
had a really
see.
cool name.
Yeah,
Um,
and
just to put it in perspective, I didn't mean to cut you off,
no,
but
go ahead,
just
go
so
ahead.
everybody knows, Mary Shelley wrote the book in 1818. That's over 200 years ago. Can you imagine? That's really cool because we're still appreciating this book. A woman wrote this book. And it,
A
it
bebe
brought
wrote
this
that.
whole chain of movies, plays, everything. Look
Yeah.
at all that was created. Look, she made this creation. Ooh.
Yeah, that's amazing when you put it that way. Over 200 years old and all that, and then we're still talking about it today. I did want to mention because you brought up the shoes. Okay, so the thick-soled boots that the monster wears are known as hot asphalt boots. They were used by men who had to work with hot asphalt on roads, and the soles are specially designed to resist heat. And these shoes that he's wearing weighed 13 pounds each. Each.
Was he
Yeah.
was he a big guy? Because he looked big.
I think he was, but they bulked him out more for that's why the shoes and then his
Mhm.
outfit. And someone's knocking on my door.
So
So I
he's
guess
so he's walking around and he's walking that way because of the heavy shoes.
yeah.
Was it for his experimentation or just to keep him weighed down?
I don't know. I'm personally, because obviously we don't know. I'm thinking that maybe they needed him to look more, intimidating. And then
Mhm.
the weight of the boots also helped him with keeping in that movement character type of thing. Again, this is just my supposition. I don't know.
Okay.
That's what I'm guessing. Because 13 pounds each, that's intentional. That's
Yeah.
intentional. I
Mm.
can't imagine that being like, oh, we just need some really cool shoes on you. No, I think that's
No, I
intentional.
kept looking at them because the squareness of it is just it's what we know about Frankenstein.
Hmm. You're on mute. Were you saying something?
Oh, I was saying that the shoes, the boots, the
Uh-huh.
shape of the head, those things were like were iconic. That's what
Yes.
we
Uh-huh.
picture when we think of Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah.
And it's so sad we don't even have a little name for him.
Bob.
Dale is going to call him Bob. We'll call him Bob.
His
He
name
could
is
have been
Bob.
Frank. Frank, short for Frankenstein.
Nah, no, because
We wouldn't name him after Henry because Henry was
exactly.
bad.
He was a bastard. But you're talking about his look and everything. Okay, so the little things that are commonly called bolts on the side of the neck, it says are actually in reality electrodes. They're not bolts. They're electrodes. Just letting you know it
And then
that's
he
a
just left him on. That's how little he cared about this creation, his child, his baby.
his
He
baby.
That's a little that he didn't even care. He just left him on him.
Yeah. But yeah,
Yes,
maybe
I did
because he
look at
in case he needed to charge him up again. I don't know. Needed to give him
oh,
another
that
charge.
kind of made sense.
Yeah.
Charge him up.
The film was banned in Kansas upon its original release on the grounds that it exhibited cruelty and tended to debase morals. So,
Okay, that I backed that up. I would have been on that moral committee. Yes, I have banned this film.
but not for the reasons that you think. It's because they treated Bob badly.
Cruelty to Frankenstein's baby.
I think that's all of the trivia I have. Alma, do you have any to share?
Mm, no, but I do see that you had written down that technically it was not conceived as a horror movie since the term, I have to say it slowly, since the term horror as a film genre wasn't used until 1934. And this
Yeah.
film was from 1931. So what did they call it back then? This
Um,
irregular creature features. These movies are considered creature features,
I think it was a
like
monster
Frankenstein.
that it was called something, and I didn't write that down, but I know Bianca said something in the chat that triggered that memory. They're called like monster something, maybe even just as simple as monster movies, but it was monster, they were known as monster movies, yeah, rather than horror. But yeah, that during that time period, I think we discussed this when we watched Nosferatu. It's that was scary. That was terror. Because they had books like this, but being able to see it on screen, that was very novel. So being able to, I'm sure it would have freaked people out. What did they call them? Moving pictures. Is that what they
Yes,
call them?
talkies. The talkies.
Talkies. Okay, yeah, yeah. So I'm sure it was I think I would have been freaked out for sure because I love scary movies, and I know when I was little, I was scared of everything because it was all new to me. So
Mhm.
yeah, I can see this
And
being
this
scary.
one did, but this was like a different kind of like scary movie.
Hmm.
It was more to do with it was like a sad film. And I
Hmm.
always saw most creature features, monster movies like The Creature from the Black Lagoon,
Hmm.
one of my favorites. And this one as I sympathized with the monster. And it
Hmm.
was like, who is the monster at the end of
Yeah.
the movie? Because we assign them humanity, but because we have humanity, no one saw it on their end,
Hmm.
but we see it
Yeah.
because
Well,
this
we're
is a
seeing
living
their side.
creature.
Yeah, we're also
Yeah,
seeing their side of the story too.
yes. Uh-huh.
But yeah, so love this movie again. Like I said, I remember as I was watching it why I haven't watched it in a long time. But
Mhm.
it's not because I don't like it. I love it. It's just really sad and depressing for me.
And when we watched it the other night, I saw Bianca. She had posted that she happened to be watching The Bride of Frankenstein
Hmm.
at the same time when we were watching this one, and it's been even longer because I'm pretty sure I saw The Bride of Frankenstein before I saw Frankenstein
I
because
think so too. Yeah.
we used to often see like the sequel before the main one, and we'd
Uh-huh.
be looking for the real one because sequels were more out there because they weren't considered as good as the originals.
Yes. Hmm.
The the continuations of a film, the series
So
of
you'd
them.
see
We
most of the
always saw
time.
like the later ones, and then we'd have to go look for
Hmm.
the originals. So that's pretty cool.
All right. So thank you all for joining us, those who were able to make it. Alma, do we have any closing thoughts on the movie other than go watch it if you haven't watched it in a while?
Other than why aren't we putting a curse on Henry Frankenstein's whole shouldn't his children's children be like suffering for the consequences of his actions? I mean, he got away scot-free.
Yes,
No,
free.
that's it. That's all I have to say.
Okay, that's all I got to say about that. All right. Well, if people want to follow along on what we're doing next and what we got going on in the next few weeks, months, and all that, how can they get a hold of us?
Okay, you can go to our website, nightmaremoviepodcast.com. You can email us at nightmaremoviepodcast@gmail.com.
Mhm.
Our Instagram is at Nightmare Movie Podcast. Our Twitter is at Nightmare on Fifth. That's Nightmare on 5th. And you all are already supporting us by listening to us and
Thank
keeping us
you.
all excited about horror movies constantly. We appreciate you. We love you. And if you would like to support us a little extra, Dale, where can they go?
You can go if you want to be a part of our membership. It's really, really cool because, Alma and I are doing fun stuff for y'all. It's patreon.com/nightmare movie podcast. Or if you just want to throw a couple of dollars at us so we can get another cup of coffee. Another
We
cup.
always need more.
Go to buymeacoffee.com/nightmarepod. And Bianca, we are very much looking forward to discussing Coco as well. I love this
Coco's
movie.
coming up. Yes,
I love
Coco's
this
coming up.
movie.
I want to be, we'll do that on the 1st, right?
Second.
The 2nd. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought we were recording. Okay, we're recording. Okay, so next. And we have a couple more giveaways before the end of the month.
Yes, a couple more
Movie
giveaways.
giveaways.
So be paying attention on our socials so we can get more of those out for y'all. And yeah, so thank you all for joining us. We love you.
Thank
And
you.
have a great night. Bye.
Have a good night. Bye.
Happy Halloween.